Marcus Chin had been prisoner 804 for so long that he almost forgot his real name. The guards never used it. The other inmates never asked. In the cold metal corridors of Tartarus 9, numbers were all that mattered. He woke before the alarm as always. The asteroid mining shift started in 30 minutes, and being late meant no food rations. Marcus rolled off his steel bunk and splashed recycled water on his face. His cellmate, a blue-skinned alien named Crix, was still snoring in the corner. "Up," Marcus said, kicking the bunk. "We're on Tunnel 7 today." Crix groaned but didn't argue. In 3 years together, they had learned to survive by watching each other's backs. The prison held thousands of criminals from across the galaxy, and fights broke out every day. Marcus grabbed his mining gear and joined the line of prisoners shuffling toward the airlock. The guards barely looked at them. Just another day of breaking rocks in the void. But something felt different today. Marcus couldn't explain it. His chest felt warm, almost burning. The strange scar on his palm itched terribly. He had carried that mark since childhood, a circular shape that looked almost like an eye. The doctors on Earth could never explain it. "You okay?" Crix whispered as they stepped into the mining tunnel. "Fine," Marcus lied. The heat inside him was growing stronger. They worked in silence for hours, laser drills cutting through asteroid rock. The work was brutal and mindless. Perfect for forgetting whatever life you had before. Marcus tried not to think about Earth. About the crime he didn't commit. About the lawyer who never called back. About the trial that lasted 20 minutes. Nobody cared that he was innocent. Nobody ever did. The explosion came without warning. A pocket of volatile gas erupted from the rock face. Marcus saw the fireball rushing toward him and Crix. There was no time to run. No time to even scream. The flames hit him like a hammer. But they didn't burn. Marcus stood in the center of the inferno, feeling the fire wash over his skin like warm water. He watched in horror as Crix and 2 other prisoners were thrown backward, their bodies charred and smoking. The flames licked at Marcus's face, his arms, his chest. They should have killed him instantly. Instead he felt alive. The fire died as quickly as it came. Emergency systems kicked in, flooding the tunnel with foam. Guards rushed in with medical teams. Marcus looked down at his hands. Not a single burn. His prison uniform was ash, but his skin was perfect. Better than perfect. It seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. "What the hell?" a guard shouted, staring at him. They dragged Marcus to the medical bay. The prison doctor ran every test she could think of. Radiation levels that should have been lethal. Cell samples that didn't make sense. Body temperature readings that broke her equipment. "This isn't possible," she muttered, looking at the screens. "You should be dead." 3 times over. Marcus said nothing. He had learned long ago that explanations didn't matter in places like this. They threw him into solitary confinement while the warden decided what to do. Marcus sat in the darkness, staring at his palm. The scar was glowing now, pulsing with a soft red light. He had survived things before. Falls that should have broken bones. Sickness that killed others. He always thought he was just lucky. But this was different. The dreams came that night, vivid and terrible. He saw cities of crystal and fire. Massive winged creatures soaring through alien skies. A throne room made of gold and obsidian. And always, the sensation of falling, of being torn away from something important. Marcus woke gasping, sweat covering his body despite the cold cell. Far above Tartarus 9, beyond the prison's sensors, 3 massive ships dropped out of hyperspace. They were black as night, covered in scales instead of metal. On their hulls, ancient symbols glowed with inner fire. The dragons had finally found their lost prince. The alarm screamed through every corridor of Tartarus 9. Marcus jumped up from his cell floor, his heart pounding. In 3 years he had never heard that particular sound. It meant something was approaching the prison. Something big. Red emergency lights flooded his tiny cell. Through the small window in his door, Marcus could see guards running past, weapons drawn. Their faces showed something he had never seen before. Pure terror. "All prisoners remain in cells," a voice crackled over the speakers. "This is not a drill. Unknown vessels approaching. All guards to defensive positions." Marcus pressed his face against the window. The prison shook violently. Not from weapons fire. From something landing on the outer hull. Something massive. The lights went out completely. Then came a sound that Marcus felt in his bones. A roar that echoed through the metal walls like thunder. It was ancient and powerful and utterly alien. His scar began to burn. The eye-shaped mark on his palm glowed brighter than ever, casting red light across his cell. Marcus stared at it in shock. The heat spread up his arm into his chest, filling him with strange energy. The door to his cell exploded inward. But it wasn't guards. It wasn't prisoners rioting. It was something else entirely. The creature barely fit in the corridor. Its body was covered in black scales that gleamed like polished stone. Golden eyes, each the size of Marcus's head, blazed with inner fire. Wings folded against its massive frame, scraping the walls. When it breathed, smoke curled from its nostrils. A dragon. Marcus had seen pictures in old Earth storybooks, legends and myths, but this was real. This was standing right in front of him. The dragon tilted its head, studying him with those enormous eyes. Then it spoke, and its voice filled Marcus's mind without sound. "We have searched for so long." More dragons appeared behind the first one. They moved through the prison like a force of nature, ignoring the guards' weapons' fire. Laser blasts bounced off their scales harmlessly. When the guards tried to block their path, the dragons simply pushed through walls. They were looking for something. For someone. The largest dragon reached Marcus's cell. It lowered its massive head until one golden eye filled the doorway. Marcus couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. He stood frozen as the creature examined him. Then the dragon did something impossible. It knelt. The enormous beast lowered itself onto its front legs, bowing its head before Marcus. The other dragons did the same, creating a corridor of bowing creatures. "Your Majesty," the largest dragon said, and this time Marcus heard the words spoken aloud. The voice was deep and ancient, filled with emotion. "We have searched 300 years. Your throne awaits." "What?" Marcus managed to say. His voice sounded tiny and broken. "I'm nobody. I'm just a prisoner." The dragon's eyes softened. "You are Draken, last son of the Flame Dynasty. Hidden among humans as an infant. Protected by your mother's final magic. We thought you lost forever." Another violent shake rocked the prison. Marcus heard screaming from other cell blocks. Chaos spreading everywhere. "The warden has activated the emergency protocols," a smaller dragon reported. "They plan to destroy this section." The large dragon, still kneeling, extended one massive claw toward Marcus. "We must leave. Now. Your people need you. The Imperium suffers under a tyrant's rule." "I don't understand any of this," Marcus said. But even as he spoke, something stirred inside him. A feeling like waking from a long sleep. The dreams he had been having suddenly made terrible sense. "Come," the dragon said gently. "We will explain everything. But first we must get you to safety." The prison shook again. Explosions echoed through the corridors. The warden was making good on his threat. Marcus looked at his glowing palm. At the dragons bowing before him. At the destroyed cell that had been his home for 3 years. He took a breath and stepped forward. The moment he touched the dragon's claw, the world exploded into light and fire. His body lifted off the ground as the dragons surrounded him protectively. They moved as one unit, smashing through walls and barriers like they were paper. Behind them, Tartarus 9 began to tear itself apart. The flagship was beyond anything Marcus had ever imagined. The walls weren't metal but living crystal that pulsed with warm light. Flames burned without fuel in golden braziers. Everything felt ancient and powerful. Marcus stood in the center of a massive chamber, surrounded by dragons in their smaller forms. They still towered over him, but at least they fit indoors now. The largest one, who called himself Oryx the Flamebringer, watched him with patient eyes. "I don't belong here," Marcus said for the 10th time. "You have the wrong person." "Your scar proves otherwise," Oryx replied. He gestured to Marcus's palm. "That is the mark of kings. Only those of royal blood carry it. It's just a birthmark. It is your mother's last gift. She placed it on you as she sent you away." Oryx's voice grew sad. "The Knight General Malthur betrayed us all." Marcus sat down heavily on a stone bench. His head was spinning. 2 days ago he was breaking rocks in an asteroid. Now dragons were calling him royalty. "Tell me again," he said quietly. "Tell me what happened." Oryx settled onto his haunches. 30 years ago the Dragon Imperium ruled 1,000 worlds. Your father, Emperor Draker, believed in peace. He made treaties with other species. Shared our technology. Malthur, his most trusted general, saw this as weakness. So he killed them? He killed everyone. Your father, your mother, your 2 older brothers. The entire royal family died in one night of blood and fire. Oryx's eyes blazed with old anger. But your mother was wise. In her final moments she used forbidden magic. She transformed you into human form and sent you far away to a planet called Earth. She hid you so well that even we could not find you. Marcus felt sick. And Malthor? He took the throne. He ended all peace treaties. Under his rule, dragons became conquerors again. He enslaves entire species. Burns worlds that resist. The Imperium has become everything your parents fought against. A female dragon stepped forward. She was sleek in silver with scars across her scales. I'm Syra. I fought beside your father. I watched Malthor murder him while he slept. Her voice was hard as steel. We have waited for you. The true heir. I'm not a dragon, Marcus protested. Look at me. Orc stood. That is why we must perform the awakening. Your human form is only a shell. A chrysalis. Your true self sleeps inside. He paused. But I must warn you. The process is painful. And once begun you can never go back. Marcus thought about Earth. About his old life. About the prison cell. What did he have to go back to? A life sentence for a crime he didn't commit? What if I say no? Then we hide you again, Oryx said simply. We will not force you. But Malthor grows stronger each day. More species fall under his cruelty. Without a true heir to challenge him, he cannot be stopped. Marcus looked at his hands. Human hands. Or were they? He remembered the explosion in the mine. The fire that didn't burn him. The dreams he had been having his whole life. How do you know it will work? He asked. Because your scar glows, Syra said. It recognizes us. Recognizes home. Your dragon soul is already waking. Marcus closed his eyes. He thought of Crix, his cellmate, burned to death in the explosion that didn't harm him. He thought of all the people suffering under this Malthor's rule. He thought of parents he never knew who died protecting him. He opened his eyes. Do it. Oryx nodded gravely. Come. The ritual chamber is prepared. They led Marcus deep into the ship, to a room carved from black stone. Ancient symbols covered the walls, glowing red and gold. In the center stood a circle of fire. Step into the flames, Oryx instructed. Marcus walked forward. The fire surrounded him, but again it didn't burn. Instead it felt like coming home. Then the pain began. His body convulsed. His bones stretched and reformed. Scales erupted from his skin. Wings tore from his back. Marcus screamed as everything human was burned away. And something ancient awakened in its place. Marcus stood on 4 legs for the first time, his massive dragon body still trembling from the transformation. He was smaller than the others, younger, but power coursed through every scale. When he breathed, fire came naturally. When he thought of flying, his wings spread wide. But his mind was chaos. 2 sets of memories fought inside his head. Marcus the prisoner and Draken the prince. Human thoughts mixed with dragon instincts. He didn't know who he was anymore. It takes time, Oryx said gently. You are both now. Human and dragon. That makes you stronger, not weaker. The weeks that followed were the hardest of Marcus's life. Every morning, Syra dragged him to the training grounds. She was merciless. Fly higher, she barked as Marcus struggled to stay airborne. His wings ached. His muscles screamed. Malthor's guards will tear you from the sky if you fly like that. Marcus crashed into the training platform for the 5th time that day. He transformed back to human form, gasping for breath. The transformation was easier now, but it still hurt. I can't do this, he said. Syra landed beside him, also shifting to her smaller form. Your father said the same thing during his first training. Then he became the greatest warrior our people ever knew. I'm not my father. No, Syra agreed. You might be better. You have lived among other species. You understand what Malthor does not. That strength without wisdom is just cruelty. Between training sessions, Oryx taught Marcus about politics and history. The dragon court was complicated, full of ancient families and old grudges. Some dragons supported Malthor. Others waited to see if Marcus was worthy. 3 attempts on your life so far, Oryx noted calmly one evening. Malthor's spies are everywhere. Marcus touched his neck where a poison blade had barely missed him yesterday. How do I know who to trust? You don't. You learn. Oryx spread out a star map. But first you must see what we fight for. They took Marcus to a conquered world called Viridian. Once it had been beautiful, covered in forests and crystal cities. Now it was a mining colony. The native species, gentle 4-armed beings, worked in chains. Marcus walked through the camps in human form, his heart breaking. Children with hollow eyes. Adults beaten for moving too slowly. Dragon overseers with whips of fire. An old Viridian woman grabbed his arm. Please, she whispered. My grandson. They took him to the deep mines. He's only 6 years old. Marcus found the child 3 hours later, exhausted and terrified in a collapsed tunnel. He carried the boy out in his arms past the shocked guards. When one tried to stop him, Marcus transformed just enough to show his eyes. Dragon eyes. Royal gold. The guard stepped back quickly. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He kept seeing that child's face. Kept thinking about thousands of other children on thousands of other worlds. Now you understand, Syra said, finding him on the observation deck. Malthor has done this to 50 species. He calls it bringing order. Building the Imperium's strength. It's slavery, Marcus said quietly. Yes. And if we fail to stop him? Then it continues forever. Syra looked out at the stars. Your father dreamed of something better. An Imperium where dragons protected instead of conquered. Where different species worked together. Malthor killed him for that dream. Yes. And he will kill you too if you let him. Syra turned to face Marcus. So we train harder. We plan better. We gather our forces. Over the following months, Marcus changed. His flying grew stronger. His fire burned hotter. He learned to fight in both forms, mixing human cleverness with dragon power. More ships joined their fleet. Dragons who remembered the old ways. Species who wanted freedom. Slowly a rebellion formed. Marcus stood before them all, no longer just a prisoner or a prince. Something new. Malthor thinks dragons should rule through fear, he told the assembled forces. My father believed in ruling through respect. Let's show the Imperium which way is stronger. The fleet turned toward the throne world. Toward war. Toward home. The throne world burned beneath them as the two fleets collided in orbit. Marcus had never seen so many ships in one place. Malthor's forces outnumbered them 3-1, but the Loyalists fought with desperate courage. Marcus flew through the chaos in his dragon form, larger now after months of training. Enemy fighters swarmed around him. He breathed fire and scattered them, his wings carrying him through explosions and laser fire. The palace shields are down, Oryx's voice crackled in his mind. Dragons could speak this way across distances. You must go now. Marcus dove toward the planet's surface, Syra and a dozen elite warriors following close behind. The imperial palace rose from the capital city like a mountain of black stone and gold. It had been his home once, though he couldn't remember it. They landed hard in the main courtyard. Malthor's guards were waiting. The battle was brutal. Dragons clashed in the air and on the ground, fire and blood mixing together. Marcus fought like his father had taught him in dreams, combining human tactics with dragon strength. He was faster than the older dragons, more creative. But there were so many of them. Syra took a spear through her wing and crashed beside him. Marcus roared and incinerated her attacker, then helped her up. Go, she gasped. The throne room. And this. Marcus left her defending the entrance and ran inside. The palace corridors were exactly like his dreams. Every turn, every statue, he knew them all. Memories flooded back with each step. Playing here as a child. His mother's laugh. His father's lessons. The throne room doors stood open as if waiting for him. Malthor sat on the obsidian throne, massive and scarred from 100 battles. His scales were dark red, almost black. When he saw Marcus, he smiled with too many teeth. The lost prince returns, Malthor said, his voice like grinding stone. You look like your father. Weak. You murdered him while he slept, Marcus replied, walking closer. That's not strength. That's cowardice. Malthor stood and the room seemed to shrink. He was twice Marcus's size, ancient and powerful. Your father made dragons soft. Peace treaties with lesser species. Sharing our power. He forgot what we are. He remembered what we should be. And where did it get him? Malthor descended from the throne platform. Dead. His family dead. His empire taken. He circled Marcus like a predator. I saved the dragons. Made us strong again. Made the galaxy fear us. You made them hate us, Marcus said. There's a difference. Malthor attacked without warning. His claws raked across Marcus's side, drawing blood. Marcus rolled away, barely avoiding the follow-up strike. The old general was terrifyingly fast. They fought through the throne room, destroying ancient pillars and tapestries. Malthor had experience and size. But Marcus had rage and purpose. He thought of the Viridian child in the mines. Of Crix dying in the explosion. Of parents he never knew. He fought for all of them. Marcus caught Malthor's neck in his jaws and breathed fire point blank. The general roared in pain and threw him off, half his face burned. They crashed together again, a tangle of scales and fury. You cannot win, Malthor gasped, blood streaming from dozens of wounds. Even if you kill me, half the Imperium supports my way. Then I'll change their minds, Marcus said. He pinned Malthur to the floor, claws at his throat. Starting now. The final strike was quick. Malthur's eyes went dark and the tyrant moved no more. Marcus transformed to human form and climbed the steps to the throne. He sat down slowly, feeling the weight of Empire settle on his shoulders. Syra limped in, supported by Oryx. Behind them, dozens of dragons filled the room. Loyalists and some who had served Malthur. All watching. I am not my father, Marcus said clearly. And I am not Malthur. I am something new. He looked at each dragon in turn. The Imperium will change. We will free the enslaved. And the conquest. Become protectors instead of tyrants. And if we refuse? One of Malthur's former generals asked. Then leave. But you will not harm another innocent while I breathe. Slowly, one by one, the dragons knelt. Marcus sat on the throne, no longer prisoner 804, and began the hard work of healing a broken empire.